Hey folks, welcome back to the 214th episode of the Athletes Podcast. Today we're featuring Canadian Masters Athletics, specifically 4 athletes who are competing. This is something that I'm passionate about because athletes deserve to be talked about at all ages, not just professional sports, NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA, the ones that we talk to. These are the Masters athletes, the over 35 category, the individuals that have shown and showcased how they can perform at their best day in and day out throughout the tenure of their career over the course of their lifetime. 50 plus, 60 plus years old, still setting records. We have Karla, Dala, Carrie, and Carolyn joining us for this episode today. Thank you folks for tuning in. Let's get into it. Here we go. Powered by Perfect Sports. Thank you folks for tuning in.
You are the most decorated racquetball player in U.S. history. World's strongest man. From childhood passion to professional athlete. 8-time Ironman champion. So what was it like making your debut in the NHL? What is your biggest piece of advice for the next generation of athletes? From underdogs to national champions. This is the Athletes Podcast, where high-performance individuals share their triumphs, defeats, and life lessons to educate, entertain, and inspire the next generation of athletes. Here we go.
Kind of crazy. This will be the kind of first episode that we've ever had 5 people all on the same riverside. YouTube might be a little mangled, but we'll have 4 beautiful faces, 1 questionable, but we'll leave that to the jury out there. See, I'm the one that they continue to say, hey, why are you in front of the camera? But I just keep asking questions and people keep delivering incredible answers like the 4 of you that we get to welcome here today on the Athletes Podcast. Dala, Carolyn, Carrie, and Karla. Holy Dinah, that's 3 CKs there that could be tough at some point. A little confusing. I'm going to let you folks have the floor and allow you each to introduce yourselves, share a little bit of background on your sports history, where you're at currently today, and then we're going to dive deep into some questions around masters, athletics, health, fitness, wellness on the Athletes Podcast here today. Thank you folks for joining.
Well, maybe I'll start the conversation because I kind of brought everybody together. So, David, you and I know each other from social media, mostly on LinkedIn, and I've been following your podcast as well, and thought it would be a really, really good idea for your audience to have an opportunity to understand Canadian Masters Athletics, which is Canadian Masters Track and Field. So we are a group of track and field athletes all over the age of 35 and up till we can't do it anymore. And you're looking at 4 individuals who are responsible for the Instagram account and how we manage the Instagram account, how we post the Instagram account, stories, and also the Facebook page from the wraparound. So I'm Carrie Oswald, and I live in Belleville, Ontario. I am a track sprinter. I guess we can classify it as a sprinter. I run fast sometimes. And in the 60-meter events, 100-meter, 200-meter, most recently 300-meter hurdles, which I was inspired to do by the lovely and amazing Karla Del Grande, who is also in our panel today. And part of the reason that I got inspired by Karla to do the 300-meter hurdles is because I'd never seen anyone do hurdles. Especially at our age, you think, okay, we can't jump anymore, we can't run anymore, we can't do this anymore. And there she was, jumping over hurdles. And I thought, you know what, I want to do that. I absolutely want to do that. So I had the pleasure of running against Karla. What year was that? 2021, I think it was, 2022 maybe, where we actually ran against each other. And I thought, she's going to she's going to kick my behind, and she did. It was great to witness, and a whole lot of inspiration for a future. I'm going to turn it over to Karla, because Karla's got a great story, way better than mine.
We're all doing the same thing. We're all members of Canadian Masters Athletics. People still confuse that, but it's track and field. We all happen to be on the track side except for Dala, so we'll let her explain that. But I'm a sprinter as well. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I love it. And that's why we all do it. We're all masters athletes, so above the age of 35, but we're doing it because we love the sport. All of us probably did it as kids. There are many people, though, that come to Masters that never had the opportunity as kids and explore a whole lot of new events. So one of the things we want to do by doing this podcast is inviting people to come back and try whatever you missed or whatever you did as a kid and you want to do it again. I ran and did a few sports as a kid, and dabbled here and there in different things, and took up road racing when I was in my 40s, because that's what I thought adults do when you get older. You go to the road because there's lots of road races around. And then somebody told me that I was saying I really liked the speed workouts on the track, and they were hating them, and I was just in my glory. And they said, well, why aren't you competing in sprints? Oh, didn't know. Didn't know. It's something that we always struggle with, to get people off the road and back onto the track. And came back to the track when I was about 50 and love it. So I do indoors 50, 60, 200, and 400. And outdoors I do 100, 200, and 400. And as Carrie says, the hurdles. And I've turned 70 last March, so now the hurdles go to 200 meters. So a little bit shorter, and the height is about 27 inches. So it's a little bit. Carrie makes it sound like you're going over big obstacles, but they're kind they're kind of like body size now of what I can manage. It's an amazing sport, something for everybody. Jumps, throws, race walking, pole vault, distance running, cross country, trail running. There's so much, and I've dabbled in a few of those things as I've gone through, and settled on sprints. But there's always all those things available, so that's one of the beauties of our sport.
I love the call to action early on in the podcast for people to get out and try new things. It's automatic. That's perfect.
We're shameless.
Yes, no, this is great. I think that's one of the things that I've learned maybe over the past 4 years in doing this show is that, you recognize that as you continue to do good things and you impact people positively, that you can be shameless and you can plug those things. And, hey, like, you're going to feel better if you get out and you move your body and you are active and you're competing, because some people probably haven't flexed that competitive muscle in decades, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Carolyn, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carolyn, and I am 46 years old. So I represent more of the road runner that Karla was talking about, sort of that classic road runner. But lately, I've been starting to dabble a little bit on the track as well. So I grew up playing all kinds of sports, but not running. I guess running is involved in many sports, but I was more of a gymnast. I liked volleyball, racket sports like squash and tennis predominantly. And I hated running. And I think part of why I hated it was because I had this brother that was an amazing runner right out of the block. So I thought, okay, he's good at running, I'll do other things. And so I sort of watched him excel at running, but didn't really take it up myself until I actually asked him for some advice in my 30s. So in my 30s, I realized, oh, okay, I guess I'm all right at running, and started to really love it, and then sort of took up the track. I didn't realize that I could compete on the track as a, quote, older person. And so I entered my first track race I was probably close to 40 years old, and I ran a 3,000 meters, which to me would have been short. And to some other people on the call, that is basically like a marathon. And I realized again that it's fun and people do this and people are active for their entire lives doing all sorts of things, running, jumping, throwing, race walking, trail running. There's just an endless amount of ways that we can use our bodies and have fun and meet other people and develop friendships. So I got involved with Canadian Masters Athletics and these lovely ladies, and we help sort of recruit people and retain them as well, and provide value for them for their memberships. So currently I am I'm more of a 1500 meter to the marathon kind of person, and my main aspiration is to really master the marathon. I've given it 4 or 5 cracks, and it's a real beast, and I've done okay at it, but I know I can do better, and I think that keeps me hungry and wanting to come back for more.
Love that. Look forward to seeing that in the future. You put it out there now, and people are going to hold you accountable here on this podcast.
I need that.
Absolutely. I guess last but not least, the non-runner, we'll say. What is that? Is that how you're going to?
Well,
yeah.
well, I'm Dala. I am 55, like Carrie. I am historically, I suppose, as a master's sprinter. I started out in sprints, short sprints. Don't talk to me about anything longer than 100 because I really don't like it. But I was getting injured a lot. And so I needed to kind of supplement what I was doing with my sprint. So I decided to start throwing. So my coach had me just do shot put, javelin, discus. And then he just out of the blue told me I was going to do a throws pentathlon. I thought he was nuts. I didn't know until 3 years ago what a hammer even was, or that what a weight throw was. I didn't know there was a sport, what they look like, certainly not how to do it, but I somehow became a thrower. So that's what I mostly compete now is the throws, and it's a lot of fun. Growing up, I never really, like all you guys did stuff, like organized sports and were good at it. I didn't really do that. I just, I hung out with my friends, played baseball in the park and kicked around a soccer ball. And phys ed teachers would pull me out of soccer and in track and field and had me compete. But I was not like an athlete. And I only got back into track and field like as a master's in 2016. I did my first race. So I was in like my mid 40s. And I did my first race and I was bitten by the bug and I was addicted and that was it. So that's I've stuck with it, and then I joined Canadian Masters a few years ago, and that's a lot of fun. Meet amazing people, do really fun things to try to expand the sport and bring people in, because it is a lot of fun. And for me, from coming from a sprinting background, if you will, going into throws, it's just really fun to try something else. I didn't know I would like the throws, but I actually love the throws. And I never thought I could do it. They're so technical and there's so much to learn, so I can keep improving, and that's really fun.
Yeah,
I think
hopefully the key message of that one, the fun. Hey, sorry, Carrie, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on what Dala had said. I think there are a couple of different camps of people who get into Masters track and field. Those that are looking for something new to try, who've never tried anything like this before, kind of a recreational thing. And then those who are really wanting to improve on skills that they already have and sort of learn from the skills that they already have. There's tons of people that I've met that have had lots of exposure to how to sprint properly and how to sprint technically and how to really improve on their front side mechanics and on their strength and their ability to run really well. And then there are individuals like me who I haven't run since I was 18, and I decided to run for the first time again when I was 50 and found out that I actually didn't run very well at all. But it was in finding out that I lacked the technical side that helped me to improve. And one of the things that Karla had said to me was, you might be surprised at how much faster you get the older you get. That came as a surprise. So my goal started out being injury-free. I wanted to stay really injury-free, and now it's more about how can I get from here to here within an age bracket of 5 years. So 50 to 55, I gave it a shot. It was really just exposure. I did stay injury-free till this year. Now it's, okay, how can I improve on the mechanics that I've worked on for the next 5 years so I can actually get faster, not slower by the time I'm 60? Which is a very cool goal to have. Most of the people that I know are looking at me like, what? You're going to be 60? You want to be 60 and still running? Yes, I want to be 60 and improving. And everyone's nodding because we all know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
It's not impossible. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not even like, I know I'm not going to get faster. I'm getting slower. Thank you, menopause. But it's true. But it's not all just about getting faster for me. It's also just about just staying in the sport, staying active in it, being like my body can still do all these things. It's amazing. And with the throws, I can do new things. I can learn new things, and my body will actually let me do them. And it's just amazing what your body can do if you have like an interest, and if you just step a little bit out of your comfort zone and try something new, you'll really surprise yourself what you might like and what you'll like love to keep doing.
One of the cool things in Masters Track is age grading, and it's how you can compare. I'm not a statistics person, but it's how you compare your performance compared to supposedly what you would have done at age 21. So it's a percentage. So there are a lot of people that try to keep their age graded percentage high as they move up an age category and then into the next category. So when we go to our record keeping, it's called mastersranking.com. When we go to that database, all the performances are age graded. So you can see somebody coming new into the category may really not be as highly ranked age graded as somebody that's at the high end of the category, like age 69 or whatever. So it's kind of interesting to compare that, and it goes across too. So it's all from the data. There has to be a lot more data, which we need a lot more people participating to get that data. But you can compare, like, so what's a performance in 100 meters if you're comparing your best events. So you might say, well, my age grading in 100 meters is 90%, but my age grading in running 1,500 meters or 3,000 meters is pretty low. So you might as well stick to the 100 meters, so you know that that's sort of where your sweet spot is. So it's another use of age grading. It's kind of a neat thing in Masters.
It seems like the only sport that I can think of that does that is, a golf handicap system, for instance, that is similar. That makes things so much more interesting, because you could realistically be out there all together, the four of you, realistically myself included at that matter. I mean, you have to get to that 35 point. I'm not quite there yet, but sometimes it feels like I am. Either way, where things are at today is the fact that that's something that you can all compete within the same kind of respective event and realistically see where you're ranking. That's awesome. I love that.
There are some meets in the States that do that. They will give the awards to age grading.
Okay. Where should we be driving people to? Is it a case where you have to upload your data from specific events, or is that something that you can be doing, tracking some just of your training as well?
It's from events, and it's done mostly automatically through all the events that we compete in. But we do get the opportunity, let's say we run in an open event where the results wouldn't automatically be sent to Masters Ranking, you can go and submit the result from that race.
Okay.
So it's
many
both ways.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Carla. I was doing some snooping and realized you guys have over 3,000 individuals in your Canadian Masters Facebook group. And I'm curious, how active is this community right now? Are we going to get a ton of subscribers here on the Athletes Podcast from this episode going live here ahead of what will be the national event, correct?
Yep.
Let's hope so.
That's right.
There we go. What's been the biggest upbringing or insight, maybe Carrie, from your perspective, or anyone else who wants to touch on it, that you've seen the recent uptick in people's interests? Was this post-COVID? Has there been a strong desire? Is it from any other particular reasons?
Well, I think if I were to say there's been a more of an interest, there's been definitely an interest in getting involved in Masters. The questions that we see on the Facebook page are pretty consistent. How do I get involved? Who do I need to talk to? And that doesn't necessarily translate to people participating. I think that there's a little bit of a fear that I think I want to try it, but I'm not really sure how. In my personal experience, that took a couple of tries. I wanted to do it. I was afraid to do it. And then when I tried it, I realized how incredibly silly it was to be afraid to try it. And the experience was a really good one. And I think what this podcast could help us do is to try to reinforce that message that come on out and give it a try. It's actually super, super easy to get involved, and there's nothing to fear. We're all out there just trying our best, and we're not out there to say, well, we're here to break records. Some of us are breaking records. Absolutely. Karla is a record breaker. So there is that element of competitiveness if you want that. But if you want to just do it because it's fun, this is a great opportunity to do that as well at any age.
And maybe I'll jump in here too, because I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and what we notice here is that there's people running on the roads in droves. Like, we have a road running association. There's hundreds of people that belong to that, and yet there's only, I don't have the exact numbers on my hands here, but I think there's like 40 some people that compete in track in the masters age category. So we're kind of looking at that data going like, oh, weird, like why will people feel comfortable to compete on the track or on the roads and not have that translate over into the track? And so we've created some opportunities almost geared at those road runners, people who are comfortable over on the roads, to say, here's a fun little track meet, and we'll do an age graded 800. And so, it's kind of fun if we all just run an 800 on the track in a fun, friendly environment. And oh, interesting that the person who crossed the line first, who's maybe 36 years old, isn't actually the winner, because that 63-year-old who's practically national world level is kicking his butt, even though he doesn't cross till, second, third, fourth, or something like that. I can't remember the exact results of that meet, but we're trying to create some opportunities for people to be exposed to track in a more in just a really friendly, welcoming environment.
And I suppose this slightly more mild winter has allowed for more running on the road, put it that way, in Manitoba.
Yeah, we're very much enjoying this winter, that's for sure.
What does a typical training, I mean, I guess it is sport dependent, but I guess something that I'd love to share or have you folks touch on is the training that you expose yourself to, any modalities from a recovery standpoint, as well as how you are pushing your body, to your point, making sure that you actually are getting faster even despite as you age, which is again against typical norms where people are in society just accepting the fact that as they age they're going to be maybe not as fast and not get up as quickly out of bed, but that doesn't need to be the case, right?
I think it's important for people to stay realistic with their training, and you don't want to find that out the hard way. I think the best way to continue to push your body outside of its comfort zone is to really be mindful of the fact that you want to stay injury free. So lots of recovery time in between training opportunities, lots of mix of training. So I work with a strength training coach. I do mobility work. I do plyometrics probably maybe once or twice a week if I can, because the goal for me is to be able to stay powerful. So I want to be able to be powerful over hurdles. That's plyometrics for me. I do track opportunities, but I don't have an indoor track available at my disposal. So in the wintertime, I'm one of those road runners, crazy person running down my street really fast, getting chased by dogs, which is a whole other thing. But if I can get to an indoor track in the wintertime, I would love to do that. Those resources aren't necessarily available to everybody. But in the summertime, I've got a great rubberized track right down the street from me, which I utilize as much as I possibly can. And I'll probably consider running on the track maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, when I'm available to do it on the outdoor side. I'll augment that with treadmill work if I need to during the winter time, and that keeps me limber and keeps me running and keeps me in form and all of that sort of stuff. Karla's got some great training tips, because I think most of the training tips I got were from her.
That's Karla's cocktail. That's Carrie's cocktail. Let's hear from Karla now, I guess, and we'll go around the table. And then also maybe if you're taking any supplements, I'd love to hear if there's anything that respect, as well as sleep, hygiene, morning routine, nighttime routine. If you could each touch, I'd just love to hear what each of you are doing in that sense as well. Team, are you guys getting tired before your workouts, after the workday? Do you need a little bit of energy to be able to make sure you get the best pump and workout possible? I gotta tell you, Altered State is here for you. It is the best on the market. You wanna know why? Not only does it have an incredible amount of caffeine, 3 different types of caffeine to give you that energy, sustained pump, L-citrulline, but it also has acetyl L-carnitine, which is an incredibly powerful nootropic. Nothing to sniff at. This is insane. It'll give you the insane pump, the insane energy and drive to be able to get the best workouts possible. Use the code AP20 at checkout at perfectsports.com to save 20% and let me know what you think. Back to the episode.
Well, I'm very fortunate with my training that I have an indoor facility at Variety Village in Scarborough. And so I have it's a state-of-the-art indoor track, 200-meter track. So that's where I go to train. And I'm on the track 3, maybe 4 days a week. But it's, as Carrie says, it's got to be alternating. You have to allow for rest in between. And I'm very lucky to have a pool there and have a weight room there. So I do weights there a couple times a week. I do pool running once a week. And in my view, that's one of the best cross-training things that sprinters, runners, anybody actually can do as a cross-training event, because it just saves the legs, saves the impact. And I do all my drills, all the drills that I do on the track before a workout, I do in the pool first. And then I go to the deep end. I wear a flotation belt. I'm hooked onto the side with a bungee cord, and I run. It's one of the greatest things that I do for running form, plus saving my legs. And I can do the same interval. So I've had a period of injury over this past fall and early winter. And I can do the same workout that is prescribed, would be prescribed for me on the track. I can do it in the pool. I have a little bit of a guideline. I do double the time and half the rest. And actually, I even put the rest even lower. So like, just as an example, let's say I was doing 100 meters. I'll do it for 1 minute, or even I did 10 this morning. I did 10 times 100 meters, and I did 1 minute, that's far more than double the time. But it's just I'm just trying to get some kind of get the heart rate up, get that form going, and my rest was 15 seconds. So
we don't normally make our guests do public math, so it's okay. We'll give you the pass on that one. And no, I love the resistance training. The fact that both of you have mentioned that, I love that. I'm sure the next both of you are going to say that as well. But that, and as well, like inside the pool, I think that's something that I've seen athletes use in the past, and I think it's something that obviously there's tons of research surrounding it as well. So Carolyn, Dala, who's next?
I can go. Yeah, I think kind of a major theme of what we're talking about here is making sure that we stay injury free. It's always going to be a huge interruption for anyone, but especially when we're older, to be taking time off because we're injured, then having to build back as we come back. So anything that we can do to stay to prevent those injuries before they happen is huge. And so you mentioned sleep, David. That's our number one recovery tool. And I think like it's quote free, so we don't tend to always respect it enough. But the rest and recovery in between our sessions has got to be reprioritized or like put to the top of the priority list the older that we get. And that could even be taking extra time between sessions, right? Maybe you used to do a harder session every 2 or 3 days. Well, maybe it's every 3 or 4 days now, and making sure that recovery happens. So the sleep is going to be huge in that respect. Same with the fueling and strength. And so who can we get on our team? I'm a big fan of assembling your support team before you need them, because it's always like a big panic to get, find a physiotherapist or a massage therapist or a sports medicine person on your team after you're injured. But can we kind of have those people lined up and in our corner before we actually need them? So there's your strength and conditioning person, your sports dietitian, your massage therapist. Let's get those people surrounding us. And I think this is a good plug for coaches too. Like I can't imagine taking up, I'm not a sprinter and I don't want to be, and I'm not a thrower, but if I was going to take up one of those sports as a master's athlete, I would want somebody guiding me who knows what they're doing and who can be a sounding board that we can ask advice from. So I think rehab professionals, coaches, health professionals, they are like the lifeline for us to be able to do what we love.
I think that, sorry, go ahead, Dala.
Sorry, I can just jump in here, I guess. I kind of forget the original question, but for me, I train twice a week with my coach. I'm lucky that I have a coach. My coach is also a competitor too in track and field, so that's pretty awesome. I don't have an indoor facility either, like Carrie. But I don't have an indoor track. I do have an indoor facility. I train on a soccer field indoors in the winter, and in the summer I train either on an outdoor soccer field or sometimes at the track once I'm able to use it once kids are out of school. But for me, I can only train 2 days a week. I've tried tried 3 times a week with my coach, and I can't do that. My body doesn't let me, and I end up getting injured. So I know for me, I need X number of days in between with my coach. So for me, it's Tuesday, Friday mornings, and that gives me enough break in between. I do other stuff on the days that I'm not with my coach. I do stuff at home. I have an elliptical that I use. I have a lot of exercise like resistance bands and weights at home, and I'm in physio now for like a glute thing. So it's a lot of today it's 2-hour workout session. It's a lot, but I have to do what I need to do to be strong. So you do it. And I have 2 or 3 physios on the go, depending on what the issue is. I'll see a different physio. I have a massage therapist that I go to 2 or 3 times a year, usually before big competitions, to get me feeling like all loosey-goosey so that I can perform as well as I want to, ideally. And I don't do supplements or anything like that. I try to eat well. I'm not a protein powder person, supplement person, not at all.
I am. I'm a big fan of protein everything. I'm a big fan of magnesium at night to sleep really well, and especially for restless legs. Big plus for me. BCAAs are in my water when I work out because I lose so much by sweating, and that's just because the workouts are hard, right? But I know that I've got the right mix for me of being able to replenish what I lose. But I think that came with trial and error, Dala. It was just like I didn't intend to. The supplements weren't something that I said, oh, I'm gonna just get all these supplements and I need them. It just became part of the routine as I went along. I felt like I needed this, so I added this. I tried it, it worked. I said no to some other stuff that didn't work for me, and just kind of found my mix.
It is a lot of trial and error though with all this stuff, in terms of what you need to do to recover, what you need to fuel with, how different exercises you can do and when to stop. It's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes you learn the hard way.
Yeah.
We've all been there, but we're all kind of stubborn too, so we just get better and then we keep going.
Stubborn? Come on, really?
I know.
I think the trial
We're dedicated.
Yes.
The trial and error thing for me, and I have the least amount of experience of anyone on this call, but I think it relates to life. And, every single person has a unique food, routine, schedule, training modality that helps them in their own unique way that allows them to get to be the best potential that they can achieve. For some people, that's, waking up at 5 a.m., cold plunging and sauna therapy and magnesium supplements, yin yang, whatever. Some people, it's just eating healthy, not tracking anything, and having great mental health because they don't have to worry about any of that stuff, right? And it's interesting over the course of 200 plus episodes, you start to realize that everyone's got something different that makes them tick. And I'd love to have you each share a little bit maybe about something that makes you tick, or something that has impacted you in a pivotal way, transformed you along your career, whether it was growing up playing sports with friends, siblings, etc., or whether it was something recently that occurred in training or competing at an event that you'd like to highlight, showcase. I always like to give a little bit of space during these episodes because I think it's important for people to showcase those memories, so that people, when they're going through them, maybe as a child or as a young adult, that you realize those are the really good times too. And it's important to remember that and realize that you could be experiencing one of the best moments of your life. So don't take it for granted.
Can I jump in here with one? Because it's just as you were talking, I thought like right away of what was like a pivotal moment for me with Canadian Masters Athletics. And I think I've told Karla this story before. It was my third ever competition in 2016. It was at the Canadian Masters Championships in Toronto. And I had competed in my first race of that event. And me, when I started out in Masters, I was like all about the competition. I looked up on Masters rankings, who was going to be competing, what their times were, how fast they were, because I wanted to win. Like I wanted to win that race. And I was leaving the track that day, and there were a group of women a bit older than me who were just chatting, being sociable. And they're like, yeah, I just come to these events for the social. Thinking, are you wacko? Like, you come here for the social? No, you come here to win. What's the matter with you? And stupid me, because honestly, it's been the social that's kept me in it. It is so much fun when you go to these meets and you see other people like you who understand why you're doing this, because the general world thinks we're just nutty. They're not really wrong, but whatever. That social part of Masters Athletics is key for me. It's like a whole group of really awesome people. And I get to see all these people whenever I go compete. And to me, that was like that moment when they're like, you come here for the social. And I'm like, no, but yeah, that's why. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just piggyback on that because that's exactly what I was going to say, Dala. So I have a podcast myself, and we interview road runners and trail runners and track runners and everybody. And no matter what level somebody's competing at, they could be setting records or they could just be middle to back of the pack. They always say, I've done 175 episodes, and everybody says the same thing about the community and the people that you find. And I can say for sure, we're a military family. So my husband's in the military, so we move quite a bit. And I know that all I have to do is find my runners and I'll have found my tribe, so it really is like we can pursue the outcome and the achievements and the accomplishments, and that's great. And some people are really driven by that. But I think even they would say that it is the people that I've met along the way that makes this such a worthwhile pursuit.
People at so many different levels. It's the people that support you when you're at the track. When I'm training at Variety Village, I'm training with people who may have had strokes, may have had doing rehab from car accidents, all kinds of things. And they support me. I do weight training with people who may be getting up out of a walker to do their weights. I'm in the pool with somebody that's missing a limb. All that kind of support and the friendships from that are really, really important to me. The friendships of these women right here on our organization, because we work together on the organization. And the friendships when you compete around the world, as I've done about, I think it's about 12 or 13 international meets, because we get to do that too. That's a whole other thing we haven't talked about. I'm meeting people that are doing the same thing around the world that I'm doing, where I'm kind of an anomaly at my track. I'm the only 70-year-old woman running around there. And somewhere else in Germany, England, in the States, there's other 70-year-old women training at their tracks, doing the same thing that I'm doing. And we reach out on Facebook and Instagram and keep those connections going. That's that's really, really cool to do.
So I'm gonna close that conversation out. I started doing this because I thought maybe it'd be fun to try. What I actually found out is how incredibly inspiring many of these individuals are. What we haven't said about Karla is that yes, she is an absolute gem and a record holder. So Karla has some incredible times in her events that are no joke for even people that are 40 years younger than her. And so I've been inspired just by seeing that myself with my own eyes, thinking, okay, well, if she can do this, absolutely, I can do this. I had an opportunity to go to Regina for Canadian Masters 2 years ago, not this last year, but 2 years ago, where I met Carol Lafayette Boyd, who is an 80-year-old who has also some incredible records in the 100, as well as a few other races that she ran, and I got to watch that. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm super inspired by these women that are 30 years and 20 years older than me. And then I go to my own track and I run with people who are like, wow, you're so inspiring. I can't believe that I'm watching you do this. And how old are you? And it's kind of neat the other way around, right? I'm not a record holder, but it is very cool for people who are in their 20s and their 30s to watch me at 56 run past them. So that's kind of a neat feeling, and that I wasn't expecting. So that's the reason that I keep doing it, because I'm inspired to keep doing it, and I'm hoping to inspire other people to keep doing it.
Say when you keep your inspirational stuff at the end of your YouTubes, they perform better, and you keep your fun stuff at the beginning to hook them in. So this has been perfect, ladies. You mentioned community, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this past weekend we went over to Victoria. We were there for Supplement King's 100th store opening and hanging out with World's Strongest Man. And you talked about sleep. I didn't get enough over the weekend, but we were there learning a bit about kind of what was going on. 1,000+ people came to this event. It was absolutely insane. People started lining up at 3 a.m. to be able to get there for their pictures. When you talk about community, I think people in the health, fitness, and wellness space, you mentioned it, running, whether it's strongman, whether it's CrossFit, there are communities that are out there now that are impacting people so positively. And I'm grateful to have been able to highlight the Masters community today, specifically Canadian Masters Athletics. I do want to wrap up by first off saying thank you to each of you for coming on the show, sharing a bit about your stories. As you know, you've listened to some episodes in the past. We wrap up by asking our guests their biggest piece of advice for the next generation of athletes. And this episode, you get 4 biggest pieces of advice, because we got 4 amazing, incredible athletes here. We're going to start off by whoever wants to kick this off. I will let whoever take the lead.
Okay, I'll go. My only piece of advice is this. Find something that piques your interest and go with that. And even if it's like, it might be fun to try that, take that small step. Just take one little step outside of your comfort zone toward doing that, and then just see where it takes you. You will not regret it, but it takes that one little step, but really follow what your interest is, whatever piques you. Someone with a podcast that Karla did recently, or an interview she did, I saw these people dancing. It was like so much fun, these older people dancing. I thought, one day I'm going to dance. So just find that little thing that sparks an interest, go with it, and follow it, and just keep at it, and just have fun.
I love that. I'll go next. I'm a long distance runner, and so I like to look at what the elites are doing sometimes. And when I hear them tell their stories of growing up, a lot of them have played a lot of different sports growing up. They didn't become elite runners like at 8 years old. And it actually reminds me, I was listening, or I saw something on social media recently, and the guy said his name was Wayne Goldsmith. I think he trains people in, I think he's Australian, but he said there's no such thing as an elite 8-year-old, a high performance 10-year-old, or a professional 11-year-old. It just doesn't happen. But I promise you that specializing them too early is a road to doom. And so what we really want to focus on, because I know we're speaking to a younger audience, is that through sport, we want to build you as a person. We want to develop your character, your values, your virtue, your discipline, your ability to just keep showing up and being with your friends and being with people. And I think we don't know what you're going to be when you're 8 years old. Like you could go in one of any number of directions with your sports, but you want to try a lot of different things. You want to follow your like Dala said, like your interests and your passions, and develop like a high level of physical literacy where you know how to move in all directions and be competent, and that will take you very, very far.
You folks saw me snapping there if you're watching the YouTube. Some wiser words. I don't know if they've ever been uttered on this platform, but yeah. Karla or Carrie, take it away. I don't know how you're going to top it, but I have no doubt you will.
Absolutely. Definitely echo those comments for sure. And keep doing it. Like, find that passion and keep doing it. Like why should I stop? I'm 70 and I've got role models ahead of me across Canada and around the world that are doing this same thing, that are in their 80s and 90s, and they keep doing it, so why can't I? And that it's a part of my life, so I keep consistent at it too. So when you find that passion, make it part of your routine, make it part of your daily life. So I have people at the gym that expect to see me there every Monday in the weight room and then in the pool. And so there's sort of a habit. I have people say to me, oh, you're so inspirational, but then they don't follow that up. But if they established a routine for themselves, your routine then becomes your motivation, because then I got to keep doing it, because I want to keep fit. I want to keep active. I want to keep happy doing this. So I keep going. And then there's my inspiration and my motivation for the next week to keep on doing it. I follow Brad Stulberg and Steve Magnus a lot, and Do Hard Things, and you know, their books about establishing the consistency and establishing the habits. So important.
You did it. I knew you would.
No pressure, Carrie.
Yeah. Back to back, 3 in a row.
Well, I think the only thing I'd add is that if we're trying to inspire younger people, then we want them to understand that they can do anything. You can do anything. And if it's hard, do it, because it's hard. Don't just do it. Don't just say to yourself, well, I can't, because really you would never have known whether you could have if you didn't try. And I think that if you use the hurdle analogy, there's a hurdle. It's just a piece of material. Jump over it. You can do that. Anyone can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It's not that hard. It's just a little bit frightening. But sometimes that fear is exactly what you need to be able to say to yourself, okay, well, what do I need to do to jump over that hurdle? Learn how. Once you learn how, you won't be afraid. But I think if your fear is what stops you, then you've got to just be able to say to yourself, it's only fear, it goes away. You'll
be so proud of yourself if you do that, if you take it on. It'll be and it'll just push you to want to do even more next time. So you're absolutely right, Carrie. Just take that step out of your comfort zone and face that fear.
Yep.
I can't help from feeling similar thoughts. Building this platform, I feel thrilled to be able to provide this, to Canadian Masters Athletics, and now hopefully in turn we can get more people joining your community, and in turn getting more people healthy, active, living those lifestyles that they need to be, and frankly the way we should be, living our best high performance lifestyles possible, whatever that looks like, whether it's getting outside for a walk every morning, getting in the gym, or weight training in the water, dealing with resistance bands. So many nuggets of gold in this episode. I can't thank each of you enough again for coming on the show. If there is maybe one place where we should be directing people for this conversation, or to learn more about Canadian Masters Athletics, where should we be driving them?
Carolyn, that's over to you.
All right. Well, you can visit us over at canadianmasters.ca. That's our website. So that's where you're going to find all kinds of information there. But we're, like you mentioned at the beginning of this, we have a very active Facebook group, and you can just search Canadian Masters Athletics on Facebook. And our Instagram handle is Canadian Masters Athletics 35.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, each of you. Honored to be able to feature you on the show, and can't wait to keep in touch. We'll be at some events in the future here, and we'll make sure to continue highlighting Canadian Masters Athletics.
Montreal on the 16th of February. Montreal on the 16th of February. 16th, 17th, and 18th.
There we go.
Canadian Championship.
There we go. Canadian Championships. This episode will go live. People start driving once you hear it.
I get to meet these ladies in person for the first time.
Yeah.